We are going to make a sweater in two parts. In this section, we'll do the sleeves. We are going to knit with two different strands of yarn. Starting about 5 feet into the strands, make your cast-on loop. Place the needle into the loop and pull snug. Position your yarn and needle to begin casting on. Begin casting on the first 20 stitches required for the first sleeve. Count your stitches to ensure that you have the correct number. If you are short, then continue casting on until you have the 20 stitches. Position your yarn and your needle to begin your pattern. Following the pattern, knit 1 stitch, purl 1 stitch. This is known as seed stitch. Knit 1, purl 1. Knit 1, purl 1. Continue this way until the end of the row. Knit 1, purl 1. Knit 1, purl 1. Complete the row in pattern. You should finish on a purl stitch. For seed stitch, we have to purl the knit stitches and knit the purl stitches on every row. We begin row 2 by purling the first stitch. Complete 2 rows of pattern. The second row should end on a knit stitch. For the next 2 rows, we are only going to work with the mohair, so we have to separate the strands. This is row 3, and we are going to increase 1 stitch at each end of the row and every 4 rows. Knit the first stitch, but do not slip it off the needle. Instead, knit into the back of the same stitch, loop the yarn with your needle, and pull it forward, through and off the needle. Now we will have 2 stitches on our needle instead of 1. Continue in seed stitch, remembering to purl the knit stitches and knit the purl stitches. Purl 1, knit 1, purl 1. Continue in pattern until there is 1 stitch remaining. We will increase 1 stitch again. Knit the stitch, but do not slip it off the needle. Now knit into the back of the same stitch, loop the yarn with your needle, and pull it forward through and off the needle. You will see the new stitch and how the row is widened at both ends. Reposition your needle to begin the next row. Because you have added a stitch, you will need to determine whether to begin with a knit or a purl. Identify a stitch you recognize and label them back to the beginning of the row. This would be a purl stitch, so we will knit into it. Then back to the pattern of purl 1, knit 1 for the rest of the row. Remember, complete 2 rows of pattern only with the 1 strand. We will work with the 2 strands of yarn for the next 2 rows. Remember to knit the purl stitches and purl the knit stitches. Always working in seed stitch, finish the second of the rows with both strands. For the next 2 rows, we will work only with the mohair again. Separate the strands and position your yarn to begin the next row. This is row 7 and it's time to increase again. Just like before, knit the first stitch, but do not slip it off the needle. Instead, knit into the back of the stitch. Loop the yarn with your needle, pull it forward and through. You will see that we now have 2 stitches on our needle. Slide the stitch off. Continuing in seed stitch, remember to knit the purl stitches and purl the knit stitches. Knit 1, purl 1, and so on. Continue in pattern until there is only 1 stitch remaining. We will increase 1 stitch again. Knit the stitch, but do not slip it off the needle. Now knit into the back of the same stitch. Loop the yarn with your needle and pull it forward, through and off the needle. You will see the additional stitch and be able to see the increased width of the row. Working seed stitch, increasing every 4th row until row 16, and then every 6th row to row 52. Continue without further increases until the sleeve is 16.5 inches long. Lay your piece out flat to measure it. If it is too short, continue for a few more rows and remeasure. When you're at the desired length, it is time to cast off. This should be done on a row with 2 strands. Working in pattern, complete the first 2 stitches. Now lift the first stitch over the second stitch and off the needle. Complete the next stitch in pattern, then lift the previous stitch over it and off. Repeat this step, making sure to do this loosely so there is no tension in the shoulder of the sleeve. Continue loosely casting off in pattern across the row. Complete the cast-off process in pattern until you have only 1 stitch remaining. Enlarge the loop of the last stitch as you remove it from the needle. Trim the strands to approximately 6 inches. With your fingers through the loop, grab the strands and pull them through. Make 2 identical sleeves. It is time